Fireflies have always been a magical sight on dark nights, lighting up our backyards, fields, and forests with their bright, flickering lights. But have you ever wondered why they are disappearing? Why does it seem like we don't see fireflies as much as we used to? What is happening to these fascinating little creatures that have enchanted generations? Today, we're going to talk about fireflies, their incredible bioluminescence, and the reasons behind their decline. Stay with me until the end, because you'll discover a surprising fact about them that you probably haven't heard before. Fireflies, also known as lightning bugs, are part of the Lampyridae family, a group of beetles with the extraordinary ability to emit light. This light is not just beautiful, it's an essential means of communication between fireflies. Did you know that their light is used to attract mates? That's right. Each firefly species has its own flashing pattern, like a secret light code that only members of the same species can understand. When a male flashes his light, he's hoping that a female from the same species will flash back, starting a courtship process. What makes this light so special is a process called bioluminescence. Unlike the light we're familiar with, firefly light doesn't produce heat. It's a chemical reaction inside their bodies, where a substance called luciferin combines with oxygen, creating this cool light. This phenomenon is so efficient that nearly all the energy from the reaction is converted into light, something scientists are still trying to replicate in our technologies. Now, you might be wondering, if fireflies are so fascinating, why aren't we seeing them as much anymore? Well, there are several reasons, and they all point to the impact of human activities on the environment. The first and perhaps most significant reason is habitat loss. Fireflies, like many other insects, depend on specific environments to survive. They prefer moist areas, like fields with low vegetation and the edges of rivers and lakes. But these places are disappearing. With urban expansion, the construction of roads, buildings, and developments, many of the fireflies' natural habitats are being destroyed. Without these environments, they simply can't reproduce or feed. Another major reason is light pollution. Remember how we said fireflies use their light to communicate and find mates? With the increase in artificial lighting in cities, towns, and even rural areas, that communication is being disrupted. Fireflies become disoriented with so much light around, and females may not notice the male's flashes, resulting in less mating and, consequently, fewer fireflies in the next generation. Imagine trying to have a conversation with someone in the middle of a fireworks show. It would be nearly impossible to hear the other person, right? That's what happens to fireflies in areas with too much light. In addition, chemical pollution also plays a major role in the decline of fireflies. The indiscriminate use of pesticides and other agricultural chemicals can directly affect these insects. Fireflies feed on small prey like snails and slugs, which are also affected by pesticides. If the firefly's food disappears or becomes contaminated, they can't survive. And like many insects, they are extremely sensitive to changes in their environment, making them vulnerable to any alteration in soil or water quality. Another worrying factor is the increase in climate change. Global warming is altering patterns of rain, droughts, and floods, and this directly affects the habitat of fireflies. As we mentioned, they prefer moist areas, and with more unpredictable weather, those habitats are rapidly changing. Prolonged droughts or sudden floods can devastate the areas where fireflies live and breed, making it even harder for them to survive. But despite all these challenges, fireflies still have a chance. Efforts are being made around the world to preserve and restore their natural habitats. Prolonged droughts or sudden floods can devastate the areas where fireflies live and breed, making it even harder for them to survive. But despite all these challenges, fireflies still have a chance. Efforts are being made around the world to preserve and restore their natural habitats. In some countries, insect conservation programs are helping to replant natural areas and reduce light pollution, creating dark zones where fireflies can shine and communicate freely. And there's more, fireflies aren't just fascinating because of their light. They play an important role in the ecosystem. They help control pest populations by feeding on small invertebrates, like snails and slugs, which can damage crops. In addition, they are an indicator of environmental health. Where there are fireflies, there's usually a balanced, healthy ecosystem. So, their decline is not just an aesthetic or curious loss, but also a sign that something is wrong with the environment. And now, we've reached that surprise I promised at the beginning of the video. Did you know that not all fireflies glow? That's right. Some species of fireflies, especially those living in more tropical regions, don't produce light at all. These species communicate in other ways, often through chemical signals or vibrations. This is fascinating because it reminds us that the natural world is incredibly diverse and full of different survival strategies. So, the next time you're in a rural area or park, pay close attention. If there are still fireflies around, enjoy that magical moment. And remember, by reducing light pollution, protecting the environment, and supporting the preservation of natural habitats, we can help these little creatures continue lighting up our nights. Now that you know more about fireflies and the reasons behind their disappearance, how about sharing this video with your friends and family? Together, we can make a difference and ensure that future generations can also see these amazing insects lighting up the night sky.